have it literally just on like your head. Okay. I'm gonna have to ask you the same questions again. Not all of them, but some of them.
Okay. I don't remember what you asked me.
All right. So what topics do you touch on in your debut book?
Anywhere from romantic love scenes, or whatever you would like to call it, any heartbreak, drug use, depression, anxiety, everything that a normal person, anywhere from teenage to mid-30s or an adult could relate to, honestly.
What would you say is the most exciting part of your book debut?
Either when it released and it went #1 on Hot New Releases on Amazon, and poetry anthologies, which that's pretty crazy. So I knew the other two people that were in the top 3, and they both have like over 500,000 followers, and they're both signed with MTV's publishing company, which is Monarch. That, or when Barnes & Noble picked it up on their online store, that was like a pretty wild moment.
What's the most nerve-wracking part of your book's debut?
I'd say just releasing it, honestly, because I mean, any kind of work that you do and put in that time, and especially when it comes to like writing and poetry, that kind of stuff, you're putting a lot of yourself into it, and then you're basically releasing that to the world for people to judge, and they're reading that and they're all wondering if this is true, or did he make it up? Is this about him? Is he writing from his personal experience? So you're gonna get a lot of, well, with any kind of art there's criticism, but you get a lot of people wondering and judging you and trying to figure out if that stuff's personalized.
Do you have a specific method that you follow when writing your poetry?
I did when I lived in Washington, I would say. Well, actually, I would say even when I started in Florida, when I lived close to the beach, I used to go out there in the evenings and sit down at the beach and write a lot. But then when I lived in Washington, every time when I come home from work, I would normally drink a whole bottle of wine or so and sit down at my typewriter and not move for several hours. But before I got my typewriter, I basically just free wrote before all my stuff got stolen. So
What happened when all your stuff got stolen?
I had been in Portland for like 2 months, and I had parked my car downtown to stay overnight at a friend's house. And I came out the next morning, had to go to work. It was like 6 in the morning. And I got in my car, and my whole passenger seat window was smashed to pieces. And at first I didn't think anything was gone. And I'm like, well, okay, they smashed my window, that's fine, because nothing was missing. I had like Xbox, laptop, tablet, all this stuff in there, and it was all there. So I like called my dad and like, hey, they smashed my window, and as I'm driving through Portland, and I'm like, but I don't think they took anything. And as I'm talking to him, I just like, it sunk. My backpack was gone, and back then what I did was I had a notebook I wrote all my rough copies in. And then once I had finalized the rough copy, I transferred it into like a fancier, nicer notebook, and that was like the finalized copy. And I had a whole book done, already complete, and both copies my dumbass put in that backpack. And they took that backpack, and I lost everything I'd ever written in it for like 3 years, and I'm sure they just stole it and threw it in the dumpster, and I had to start from scratch. So the next day I went and bought a typewriter, started over. It's pretty crazy.
So what would you say is your writing style?
I don't know if I want to say I don't have one, but I mean, when you look at the book, and from the cover to the inside, a lot of people would seem to think it's pretty romantic and sad and that nature of things, but I would like to think that I just kind of sit down and turn my brain off and just get it out, and it can end up being different every time. It's kind of just jumbled, and even sometimes when I know there's like errors and things like that in my writing, I kind of like it that way because it makes it more true or whole. It's it's not perfect.